Oh, yeah. You're good. You're good.
We're good. We're good?
Now you're good. Yeah.
We're good. Every one of my Facebook Live episodes begins with, we're good? They always say that. So anyway, I'm going to do the Facebook spiel, and then we'll talk with the students in the class. So hi, I'm Jessica Lewis, and the name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. And the reason why we're here again at the amazing and beautiful Cancer Support Community is because we're going to do some Tai Chi Cha again today. Yes, I did say a third word after the words Tai Chi. Cha is the way that third word is pronounced. It's spelled C-H-I-H. And some of you out there who are very familiar with Tai Chi might be saying, what is the Cha mean? So first let me just ask, do all of you out there in Facebook Live land, do you know that there are lots of different kinds of Tai Chi in the world? Question number one. Question number two, did you know that you can lump all the Tai Chi practices in the world, and there are a lot, by the way, into basically one of two categories. The first is martial arts, very slow moving but very powerful martial arts. There are those Tai Chi practices that are part of that category. And then there's a second category, which I would call the moving mindfulness style Tai Chi practices. And there's actually only one Tai Chi practice in the second category, and it's Tai Chi Cha. So the word Cha means knowledge of, and like many ancient languages, you take the modifier and stick it in front of the first two words. So it means knowledge of the supreme ultimate. Tai Chi means the supreme ultimate. So you can tell right from the name, we're going to be doing something that has nothing to do with offense or defense. Most Tai Chi practices, by the way, the third word that you don't always hear is chuan, which means fist. So you can tell right away, if you happen to speak Mandarin, that those style of Tai Chi practices has everything to do with martial arts. So anyway, today we're going to be doing Tai Chi Cha. The best way to do Tai Chi Cha is with the effort of no effort at all, which I know sounds crazy, because even thinking about doing a movement involves some effort, right? So for those of you who are unfamiliar with Tai Chi Cha, all I want you to do is ask yourself to do some reasonable facsimile of what you're watching me do here today. I have only one student in the room today, and she's quite experienced. She's been doing Tai Chi Cha with me on and off for years now. So we're just going to start at the beginning and run right through. But the whole effortless effort thing, it may seem very mystical, especially if you're unfamiliar with Tai Chi Cha. So the easiest way to get to effortlessness is just to move as smoothly and softly and continuously as you can manage, and with some sense of circularity. There's always some body part, sometimes a lot more than just one, moving in a circular manner during all the Tai Chi Cha movements. And if you move in those ways, I guarantee you that you're going to be moving way softer and more effortlessly than you probably would ever move during your regular everyday life. And therefore, it's even ethical for me to promise you that you will be healthier at the end of this hour than you were at the beginning, if you can find that effortless effort place. So also, the person who's in the room is fully able-bodied. I have worked with people that were fully able-bodied all the way down to the fully disabled-bodied from ages 4 to 94. So there's nobody on the planet who can't do Tai Chi Cha. If you can't do it standing with very little modification, you can do it seated. I've even worked with people that all they can do is visualize themselves doing the movements, and they still achieve what one of my students refers to as medicinal relaxation. But since this person is experienced at standing, we're just going to do it standing. It's going to be great. So here we go. Before we do anything else, though, let's go ahead and find the rest position. So I'm going to face the Facebook audience a little bit so they can see. If my hands were my feet, and I could pick them up and show them to you easily, you'd see they're sort of in this shape. All right. So we're going to put our feet in a V. And then just let your tailbone kind of drop and tuck slightly. Yeah, that's just the right spot for me. And so what happens when I do that is I notice that there's suddenly some softness in my knees. The front of my knees gets softer and sort of curvy, and the back of my knees gets kind of concave, right? And my legs suddenly feel very supportive, like my two legs together kind of feel like one big solid tree trunk, and they're holding up the entire upper body, just very lightly and easily. But most importantly, I want you to check in with the soles of your feet. Like in this position, in my tailbone like this, I really feel both my feet, the whole of each foot, in firm contact with the insides of my shoes right now. I want you to feel like the weight is totally shifted absolutely out to the outer margins of both your feet, and really feel both your feet pushing down. And then for the hands, all you got to do is lift the fingers. So it's as if you're resting the palms and the little pads of all your fingers on something super firm. And in fact, if you were sitting down and you had your hands resting on your legs right now, they'd be, right there in the same place. So see if you can imagine your hands are resting on something just as firm as a thigh. Awesome. And I often close my eyes for this part, but certainly do not close yours if you feel like you're going to lose your balance. We're just going to do a little bit of good old-fashioned, silent, motionless mindfulness here for a moment. And we'll do it again at the end of the practice. So just let your mind's eye kind of look around inside your body. This is a good time to just check out and see if any of your muscles are working hard, and then just ask them to take a vacation. And if you can, let your attention just sort of settle down to something somewhere in the very middle of you, perhaps something in the vicinity of your pelvic bowl, I like to call it. I generally like to pay attention to my breathing when we're doing this, and when I'm really relaxed, I breathe from my belly, so I'm accomplishing a couple of things there. And I'm going to go ahead and ring my singing bowl, and your whole job until I ring it again is just to notice whatever you happen to notice with your mind's eye, and that's okay. Here we go. Go ahead and bring your attention back to the classroom. And if your eyes are still closed, now would be a good time to open them. And so when I face you, I'm going to mirror. I may occasionally face you guys, in which case I'll continue mirroring. How about that? But when I turn all the way around, I will not. Okay. All right, so let's begin with rocking motion. Here we go. We're just stepping out lightly to the left. And we're letting the weight shift all the way to the heels and all the way to the toes. That's it. I might take my shoes off. That's nice. One of the cool things about Tai Chi is the warm-up movements are built into the first 2 moves of the practice, or the warm-up, I should say. It's built into the first 2 moves. But this is definitely considered a warm-up move. And a lot of people say that this reminds them, now you have to be of a certain age to be able to track what I'm about to say here. You have to have some awareness that at one point, 20, 30, 40 years ago, swings were made mostly of ropes or chains and boards rather than this loopy rubber thing that most swings are made of now. So you could stand on them and kind of get them going with a little hip action. But this is a much easier, gentler version of that, right? Now the suggested order of the practice also suggests we do some combination that adds up to 9 of almost all the moves. But since this is the warm-up, so like in exercise, many people find the warm-up is one of the most challenging parts. I like to do a lot more than 9 rocking motions. So Jess is just going to have to humor me. A lot of people also say that this reminds them of sitting in a rocking chair or maybe a glider. And I think that's not an accident that we call this one the warm-up move for 2 reasons. First off, all the Tai Chi Chuan moves have some sort of rocking quality to them. Repetitive, rhythmic, and rocking. But if you think about it, all the way back to the dawn of man, there's one thing that's programmed into our human genetic memory that we all know is very soothing when you're upset or when you're trying to soothe somebody else, and it's rocking. So this move really sets the stage quite nicely for the whole practice. Why don't we do 3 more? And on the 3rd one, when we move forward, we're also going to move a little bit back to the right. So we can just land back in the rest position. And just take a few moments to feel the distinctions between your body when it's moving and resting. This is rest. And then you can totally relax. I'm going to take my shoes off. Let me do that real quick. This is such a nice floor. Now let's do bird flaps and swings. All right, here we are in rest again. We're just going to put the hands kind of close together, kind of in front of the pelvis, right? And we're going to let the weight just sort of drop and drift towards the front of the feet, and that will cause the heels to magically leave the ground by themselves. Good. We'll draw a little circle while we're out there this time. If you're very body conscious, you're going to feel your belly expanding when you drop. And the little bird wings have to just sort of get out of its way. That's the way I think of this move. Here's the circle. You can really see it from the side, so I'll turn sideways for Jess. Here we go. I just noticed where my fingertips land when they flip out here. That's it. And that's going to be the beginning and the end of the single circle. Here it is. That's it. And now we're just going to float back down to rest for a moment and just feel the sensations in your body when you're resting. You can totally relax. Let's do around the platter. We'll do 9 of these and I'll mirror to you. We'll start with the left foot really farther out there from the right. So the easiest way to do that, the effortless way to do that, is just drain the left leg into the right as best you can. And then when this leg is really empty, you're just going to extend the knee. That's it. And the ankle, the heel will drop down wherever it wants to be. Here we are. The hands are at the back of the platter. And let's go. That's it. And all we're doing is draining the back leg into the front leg and then changing our minds. That's it. I'm going to turn sideways so the online audience can see what's going on in my back leg here. I want you all to notice, do you see how my rear knee lengthens completely, like a millisecond before my heel leaves the ground? Yeah, that's it. Let's do one more. I think this is 9. And we're just going to rest here. For this move, we're doing 3 sets of 3. That's 9. Now we're going to do the same thing with your right foot out. So here we go. And again, we're just emptying the back leg and foot into the front leg and foot so completely that the rear knee lengthens and straightens completely a microsecond before you let your belly move like maybe 1/4 inch further forward. And that last little 1% shift is what pulls the heel off the ground. You don't have to lift anything. That's it. Really nice. Let's do 2 more. I think this is 8. I could be wrong. Last one. Nice. And then we're going to let it all go. There's a quality of softness to all these moves too. And I try to apply that to the way I treat myself if I make a mistake. I make a lot of mistakes in Tai Chi. And I'm way softer with myself than I used to be when I do. Let's do around the platter variation. So we're going to start with your left leg out first. Here we go. It's going to be exactly the same, only a little change in the hands, which is going to occur just in front of the shoulder that's on top of the sticking out foot. So here we go. There it is. And then it's gone. That's it. Now our Facebook Live folks can see my front leg more easily when I'm facing this direction. So I want them to notice how my front knee lengthens completely like a microsecond before my toe comes off the ground. That's an important distinction here. Let's do one more. Nice. I'm going to face you guys and I'm going to mirror to you. So we're going to stick the right foot out now. Here we go. And the reason why we're talking about all this proper way to shift the weight is not because there's any such a thing as bad or wrong Tai Chi Cha. It's because this is the way to get the fullest weight shift. And it helps the body create almost like a bellows effect. Slowly pumping out and sucking in energy and even fluids and maybe even a little bit of blood all around the body. And these are some of the reasons why Tai Chi Chuan makes you healthier. I think this is 8. So we'll do one more. We'll call this 9. It may not be. And we're just going to take a moment. Nice. Let's do bass drum. We'll start with your left leg out. There's been a lot of research over the last, I think, 20-ish years about the meridian system and chi and energy and the fascia. And it turns out that all those ancient Chinese charts that they have in the acupuncturist office of the meridian systems were very accurate, by the way. That's kind of cool. They proved all this with contrast dye. But what we've also discovered is that the energy channels in your body, the meridians, they're related to the vascular system and the fascia. Let's do 2 more. Nice. So I could tell you lots more thinky, sciencey stuff about all that, but the bottom line is moving and promoting. I should mirror. I've got my back to the audience. So we've got the right foot out now. Moving and promoting high quality energy throughout the body, and we also know this because of acupuncture, is a great way to improve your health. Is one of the 3 most important elements of the body, if you boil us all down, is energy. Probably the other 2 are water and space. Let's do one more. And we're going to feel the body at rest. Really nice. Okay, let's do Daughter on the Mountaintop. We'll start with your left leg out. Here we go. Good. The thing about the best ways to move that energy throughout your body, though, is that you cannot use muscles. You just can't do it. You won't move the energy if you're using your muscles. In many ways, Tai Chi Cha is like the anti-exercise. It's a perfect complement, really. It's like yin to the yang. One more. Nice. And other side. Let's do it with the right foot out now. Here we go. So even just noticing that the bulk of this move can be done from the elbows down, and the upper arms almost don't even need to leave their parallel to your body position the whole time. That's a good example in this move. Daughter on the mountaintop. Let's do one more. Good. Good adjustment, Jess, I noticed. There we go. And let's do daughter in the valley now. Mirror T again. So placing the left foot out. Here go the hands. Here we go. Nice. Really good. Really good. Let's do one more. Nice. And let's do it with your right foot out now. Here we go. And many people ask me, very frequently actually, why is it that Tai Chi is offered at the cancer support community? That's the $1 million question right there. So quite recently, I was invited to participate at a global conference up at Harvard Med School in which all aspects of the relationship between Tai Chi and Qigong and your health were discussed. Let's do 2 more of these. Let's put a pin in that. Let's do 1 more. And we're going to take a beat here. Feel the body resting. Good. All right, let's do carry the ball to the side. We'll start on your right, okay? I'm going to shift slightly to the right so that I don't end up off screen before we're done. All right, so here we go. The first side-to-side move in the practice. The movement principles are essentially the same. Yeah, we're just going to, once our feet go down, we're not going to let them come up. Yeah. So our feet are in the same position they were in when we were resting, only farther apart. That's it. Here's the third one. Good adjustment. That was good. And the only other difference between a forward-backward move and a side-to-side move is the upper body rotates and turns a little bit at the very end of the weight shift. Otherwise, it's exactly the same movement as forward and back. That's it. It's easier with your toes out, isn't it? Yeah. Good. So during this conference, we actually heard a plenary presentation from the director of integrative oncology at Sloan Kettering. Put a pin in that. We'll come back. Here's the last one. Nice. I'm going to turn around so Jess and I are in sync now. So here's the rest of that story. So during this presentation, the director said that they have discovered that when they introduce any kind of Tai Chi and Qigong, so of course Tai Chi qualifies, into a patient's clinical treatment for cancer, along with all the other integrative stuff they offer, like acupuncture and massage and mindfulness, that kind of thing, that patient's risk of cancer-related death drops 26%, which is incredibly big number. So the thought I was left with is, how come Tai Chi isn't the very first thing anybody who deals with cancer patients mentions, right? And why isn't it covered by every insurance company? Let's do one more set of 3. That's a whole other conversation. But the most important thing here is because you can get it at places like the Cancer Support Community for free if you happen to be a cancer patient or a caregiver. And that's an amazing thing. So thank goodness for the Cancer Support Community. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let's do push-pull. We're back to the forward-backward moves with the left foot out first. Here we go. Nice. Nice. Let's do one more. And we're going to take a moment. Are you up for a little experiment? If you come a little closer to me, you won't be on camera. And I'm going to go a little closer to her. So our hands are going to come close to each other when we go forward. And just see if you feel something. Okay, you ready? So now we're going to do it with your right foot out. Yeah. And hopefully we won't bump. I'm going to stand back a little bit because I have long arms. But it's not like we're going to explode if we touch. Good. Oof. I'm going to step back a little bit. It's hot. Oh. Do you feel something? Yeah. One more. Let's feel the body resting. Nice. That was cool, wasn't it? Did you feel something? Like, yeah. Yeah. Not feeling something doesn't mean something is wrong, but some people feel stuff. Yeah, and some people feel different things on different days. Some people feel stuff when their hands are close together to each other. In the Tai Chi Chuan world, we call it polarity. It's theoretically a principle of movement. It's sort of, I think, a low-level principle of movement because it's not really about movement. But I do think that it might be, to a new person, the most profound principle because when a brand new person feels something weird they've never felt before between their hands when they first start to move, it's the biggest, most obvious sign that something is going on here when we're doing the practice. Okay, let's do pulling in the energy, and we'll start with the left foot out. It's just like around the platter, but with your hands under the plate now. And here we go. Taking your time. Nice. Maybe evening out both the forward and backward journeys so they're equal length. I have a tendency to rush forward and slow down on the way back. I don't know why, I just do. So I've been working on evening it out for 11 years now. Let's do one more. Nice. I've been working with the work of no work. No, I'm not working that hard. Let's do it with your right foot out now. Here we go. And again, feel that rear knee expand completely like a microsecond before your heel leaves the ground. That'll be a sign that your forward shift is as complete as it can be. And feel your front knee expand completely. A microsecond before your toe leaves the ground, and that too will be a sign of a good quality weight shift. One more. Nice. And let's do pulling taffy. And we'll both be going the same direction here. Let's do one set just with one arm. Because it's a little bit like tossing a frisbee. You know, if I want to toss a frisbee that way, I have to kind of wind up in the opposite direction before I let it go. So that's really what we're going to be doing. And we'll do one set of the 3 sets of pulling taffy just with one hand. So you start to feel like you got the hang of it. Good. Nice. Now in the second set, we're just going to let the right hand kind of sneak up on top of the left. So it's like a mirror of the arm below it. And the top hand will just slide off and kind of ground at the end of your weight shift. Y'all online will be able to see this better with my left hand now. Nice. Let's do one more set. And let's feel the body at rest here for a moment. Nice. And, you know, since we're standing, I'm just going to move my chair completely out of the way. I don't think I need it. And I'm going to move my bell. There we go. All right, we're going to do the first variation of pulling taffy. Many people call it anchor taffy. And here we go. It's got a forward-backward move to it first. And then we're going to pull taffy from the right to the left. Funny thing about this move, though, it's the first instance in which, when we move forward, we do not let the heel leave the ground. You keep it anchored down, and that's why many people call this anchor taffy. And one of the things that helps you keep it anchored down is the front toe is a little pigeon-toed here. And the reason why the toe is pigeon-toed is because your body is turned while it's shifting forward. See if you feel that helping you keep your rear heel down. You can really tell this is not a martial form in this move because your hand is not going forward as if you're about to stick somebody with a staff or a sword. Your hand is open right here. And then you take it right back on top of that. This is the most unaggressive Tai Chi move on the planet, I think. That some people think looks a little bit like classic Tai Chi. And right here, we're just going to feel the body at rest for just a moment. Good. All right, we're going to do wrist circles taffy, which is sort of like, I think, what would happen if bird flaps its wings and pulling taffy had a baby. So we're going to do the same wrist circles we did in bird flaps its wings, only your hands are going to be a little lower down. And we're going to do 2 of those. So here they are. We're just letting the whole body shift slightly backwards and slightly forwards. And the fingers kind of mimic what's going along with the upper body. Now, when you begin to do a third circle, instead, you just pull taffy from the right to the left. I love this move. I think it's very flowy. And it makes me feel a little bit like I'm bobbing up and down in the water. There's a buoyancy about it. And to me, all this can happen without me really doing any work whatsoever. I've lost track. Was that 2 sets? Let's do a third one just in case. Well, let's do another set just in case we only did 2. And you know what? There's no such thing as bad or wrong Tai Chi Cho. So if I'm screwing this up right now, oh well. And let's just take a moment, feeling the body resting. Good. And now we're going to do perpetual motion taffy, which has a couple of tricks built into it. It's just like regular taffy, only it's perpetual. So that's trick number 1. Trick number 2 is you start here, and you have to end up here. So somewhere in the middle, the hand that's on top has to slide down and under, and the hand that was under has to slide up and over. They just have to switch places. So somewhere in the middle, with your hands roughly no wider than the size of your body, that's going to happen. And trick number 3 is you're going to wait until every drop of your weight is right over top of the filled up leg and foot, because that's going to cause the empty foot to just levitate for a fraction of an instant, and then you're going to head right back towards that foot. So trick number 4 is the end of one shift is the beginning of the next. All that being said, because Jess knows what she's doing, we're going to do 9 sets of all this, and just copy me using as little effort, including thinking about whether you're getting it right, as possible. And if you get totally confused, you can just visualize yourself doing these moves, and you will still be more relaxed at the end of the hour, and therefore healthier than you were when you got here. Bonus! Can you feel all your weight coming to rest over your right foot right here, Jess, right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a fraction of a moment, and now you're left. And then all I have to do is just sort of break the surface tension of my left toe on the floor, and suddenly my whole foot is off the ground. There's no lifting going on here at all. For me. I think that was set number 8. So we're going to do just one more set. And here we are, feeling the body resting again. Really nice. Now I know one way in which I didn't use the effort of no effort. I actually moved about 3 inches forward by mistake. So I walked forward every time I took a side step by mistake. Yeah, there you go. There's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Cho. I haven't been zapped off into the stratosphere because I did something wrong, right? So now we're going to do working the pulley. And let's do it without the lower half of the body first, just for a few repetitions so you can see or just remind yourself how easily the turning of the upper body will move your arms around for you. You want to do it that way? All right, so this is actually the way someone who is unable to stand would do it, because we're going to basically isolate everything from the hips up in doing just a few repetitions of this move. So just start by bending your left elbow, and the left hand comes up to exactly where it would be if you were going to do push-pull. And you're going to just rotate the lower right arm so till your palm and forearm are facing the ceiling. And then just let your upper body turn as easily as you can. We don't want to use core muscles here. Towards the right elbow. And just feel that motion alone, moving your left arm forward and your right elbow back. Did you feel that? Yep. And we're just going to switch the hands positions. And now we're going to do the other side. And then just switch the hands. And we're just smoothing it all out so it starts to look very continuous and circular. Let's do one more. Good. Awesome. And the lower hand can just catch up with the upper hand. Did that feel easy? Yeah. The easier way is always the better way with Tai Chi. Okay, now we're going to throw in the footwork. And for our online audience that's not familiar with this move, it may look like swimming, but it's so way easier than swimming in every way. Like if you actually swam this way, you would for sure drown. And also, then there's the drowning thing when you swim. You don't need to worry about drowning when you're doing work in the pulley. So it's going to be a forward-backward move, except the upper body is going to be doing that turny thing we just played around with. So here we go. Empty your left foot and leg into your right, so you can extend your empty left knee. Up goes the left hand. The lower right arm turns over. And here we go. Let's do all 9. We have time. I might have miscounted, but I think this next one is 9. We're going to call it 9. And let's do it with the right foot out. Here we go. And like all the other forward-backward moves, see if you feel your rear knee straighten completely, like a microsecond before the heel leaves the ground. But because you're turning the upper body from side to side, you're going to feel your front toe pivot out and your rear heel pivot in just a little bit. And let's call this next one 9 as well. And I could be wrong. Nice. And let's do light at the top of the head, light at the temple. Here, I'll turn sideways. Yeah, I'll turn sideways for all of you. How about that? We're going to scoop up a little chi, bring it up to the top of the head, and we're just going to do that same thing actually we did at the beginning part of wrist circle staffy. So shifting slightly backwards, slightly forwards. Good. Now mix forward. And just pulling your energy up and out and kind of mixing it up with everybody else's. And now hold. Here we go. Here's a big circle this time. And kind of fold the energy back up to your chest and let your body rest. Nice. And let's do the second half of the same movement. Here we go. Good. Mixing forward. Just like you're messing up your hair. And my fingers are getting tangled up in my hair. And we're going to hold. And we're going to contract, expand. Here's a big circle. And let's follow that movement up with joyous breaths. So I'm going to mirror. We're going to step out a little bit with the left foot. And now your feet are going to be sort of in the number 11 position again, just like they were during rocking motion. And here we go. Two more repetitions, just like that. Good. Bring your left foot back towards your right. And let's do 9 sets of passing clouds. And we're going to start by shifting the weight to the left. That's a little bit unusual in this practice. Most of the time we begin with a shift to the right. And if this move reminds you of a slightly more perpetual version of carry the ball to the side, you are correct. That is true. It's the same move, only the hands are moving independently. This is one of the only moves that every single Tai Chi practice has some version of. Those of you who have seen the Karate Kid will probably say it reminds you of wax on, wax off. So I like to think of this as the Tai Chi Cha version of wax on, wax off. One more set. And let's do 6 healing sounds. So I don't have time to give you the whole spiel about the origins and the way to do it, so just copy me. Here we go. I'll do the sounds for everybody. Very good, Jess. I can hear you doing the sounds. She knows them. Even the most complex parts of Tai Chi Cha are not hard. One more. Nice. Sometimes I feel like I get a real good flow of energy going and I need to kind of ground a little deeper and a little longer when I do that, and that's okay. All right, we're going to do Cosmic Consciousness Pose. It's the last movement in the practice, although it's not a movement, it's a pose. All right, so here we go. We're going to start by rotating the left heel a bit and dropping it down on the right ankle. So before we do anything else, I want you to check in with your weight and make sure you got 50% in the right leg, 50% in the left. It's just your left heel is not on the ground anymore. And then the arms rise up, so the forearms are about the height of your shoulders. Your fingertips only overlap, and the left hand is the one that's closer to your body. And let's drop all the way back down to rest. Nice. And while we're in the rest position again, let's do another very short period of good old-fashioned silent, motionless mindfulness, which of course is built into the Tai Chi practice. There's little moments of this in between each one of the movements. But I'm really going to call your attention to it this time. So find your most comfortable rest position in which your lower half feels very solid and rooted and is holding up your entire upper half. And I want your upper half to feel as light as a helium balloon with the string hanging down. The string is your spine. And just pretend you're resting your hands on something every bit as firm as two thighs. And pick a spot to focus your mind's eye on, somewhere in the very middle of you. Maybe something behind your belly button. Pick a spot you'd not normally pay any attention to, except I'm asking you to. And I'm going to call the bell, and your whole job until I call you back is just to notice whatever you happen to notice about this spot. So here we go. Go ahead and bring your attention back to the room. So what, if anything, did you notice during that second little period of mindfulness? Did you notice anything? I noticed my breathing was more relaxed, and I noticed that my attention was more stably able to focus on that than it was when we started. So I gained as much by teaching as anybody does by doing, you know. I'm very grateful to be a teacher. So that was just like a taste of Chi. I gave you a little taste of Tai Chi. But if you are a cancer thriver, I like to say, rather than survivor, you know, one of the cool things about the cancer support communities, and we're not always focused on fighting this thing, you know, that creates a lot of tension in the body. We're focused here on living your best life under any circumstances, including those in which you have cancer, right? So if you're a cancer thriver or someone who caregives for someone who's a cancer thriver, you are eligible to be here for free week after week. And in fact, sometimes this room is packed, right? Today it's not, but sometimes it is. And of course, if you don't feel like coming live, you're always eligible, no matter what's going on with you, even if you're not a cancer person, to just tune into the live stream. We do it every first and third Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. By the way, next Wednesday, there will not be any class at all. If any of you online were thinking about coming, don't come next Wednesday because no one will be here. I'm going to be leading a 5-day intensive. I think we should call it an immersive and I simply can't be in two places at once, so we're going to just cancel class. But again, I'm Jessica Lewis. The name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. The name of the practice you experienced today was Tai Chi. I hope you'll come back and see you in a couple of weeks.